Hello and welcome to the Carbitrage Podcast, episode 238. I'm Eric Berger, joined as always by my co-host Ryan Sinitsky. Hello.
Hi there. Wow, sorry, I had choked down a burp without burping to the microphone.
That's all right.
As soon as you click the play button, I was like, oh no.
I think it was 236 where I just completely got tongue-tied anyway, so our batting average, if we had one, would be pretty low.
Yeah,
so.
We're not doing great. Well, to be fair, you had COVID, and
Yeah,
then
I had COVID
we had
last
the
week.
holidays and everything, so we had a lot of not being able to actually do this, so we're a little out of practice.
And I keep hearing from other friends that have had it, COVID that is, and they're like, dude, COVID brain's a real thing. Like, you get just kind of foggy for a while
You
afterwards.
literally don't have enough air going into your body, so yeah, that would probably be it. You can't
delicious.
think.
At least I have beer that's got plenty of
It's
air
like you're
in it.
being deprived of oxygen. Oh no, please don't vote for Donald Trump.
Oh no, everyone that gets it, well, no, I really didn't have breathing issues, thank goodness, but yeah, go get stabbed if you haven't already. So before we dig into topics, let's actually do beer first.
Yes,
I picked
these are the beers that Scott dropped off.
Yep, I didn't even know we had any extra left, so we're drinking Super Deluxe Tall's Boy from Modest.
Yes, these are fantastic.
I
They're
do
very
have to
tasty.
say, my 1-year anniversary of my first shot is coming up.
Mine is too. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
That's hard. I mean, the years have just been a fake
Yeah.
blur at this point, so whatever. But anyway, back
delicious.
to the Supra. It hits really good. The first time you take a sip of it, you get a little bit of a dry hop, but then it just gets so smooth and creamy.
No, it's a great beer. It's a Modest, so of course it's a great beer.
Yeah.
Indeed. All
I,
right.
I saw it at the liquor store once. I go, Ryan, it's Modest, and it's
It has the word
Supra.
Supra on it.
It's quite good.
Mint. All right, patreon.com. I have to talk about this real quick before we dig into topic numero uno. Patreon.com/Carbitrage. On this super custom page that isn't actually that customized, you'll find 2 open-ended levels of support for content consumers like you to support content producers like us. Buy us a beer. You can do it in person. You can do it there. Just helps pay hosting costs and keep us recording. So patreon.com/Carbitrage.
Yes. You know what nobody likes?
A lot of things.
The Toyota CHR.
Oh, God. Is that weird crossover thing?
That's
looks
a
like tennis
crossover.
shoe?
Yeah, and it's front-wheel drive only.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they do not offer
Wait.
all-wheel drive on that
You can't even get a
vehicle.
hybrid?
Nope. You can only get that front-wheel drive. That
That's
is not
really
offered. It was
dumb.
literally designed to not even be able to have a rear differential possible to. You'd have to completely redesign the rear suspension and the floor pan.
But it just looks like a Juke. Why?
Yeah, I know, because it was designed by committee for millennials.
Oh.
Shockingly.
Because all the millennials love the Nissan Juke.
Oh, yeah. With that really great CVT and those weird headlights that got copied by the Cherokee.
So, this list also lists some other vehicles that are don't scroll down, that are also very disliked by people.
Okay.
We'll start with this one since we obviously know this is from the headline, is the most unsatisfying car available in the United States right now per Consumer Reports.
Oh, interesting.
What percentage of buyers do you think are satisfied with this car?
So people that
2%.
have purchased a CHR brand new that have been surveyed by Consumer Reports, what percentage of that population are
Yes.
satisfied? 38%.
No, worse. This is more disliked than Donald Trump.
Oh, my.
Keep going down.
21%.
Not quite that bad. 29, which is horrible.
Really
Did you want to take 3 guesses on other vehicles that are on this top 10 list?
The Jeep Compass?
Yes, that is on there. Do you want to guess what its score is?
35?
It did a lot better than that,
Oh,
to be
okay.
fair. It is below 50, though.
Okay, 45.
46. You're
Okay.
almost on the nuts.
Huh. Let's see, and they said there's one more.
We'll go through all 10 of them, but just take one more guess. It's something that you would expect to be on here.
The Eclipse Cross.
No,
Huh.
because nobody bought that.
The one person didn't respond to the survey.
The one person was like, yeah, this is great. It's the only car I can get approved for. This is fantastic.
It's
I
the-
own a car.
It's the only in-stock CUV that had 80-month finance.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, yeah, I'm thrilled because I have a vehicle. I've got a credit score of 2.
Oh, God.
So
It's an errand
the
car.
10th car on the list is a Kia Forte, which I'm today learned is still in existence. I honestly
Wait,
forgot.
like Julie's Kia?
No,
Kia
the
Forte?
smaller one.
Oh.
The actual, which to be fair, a manual Kia Forte SX is a fun car.
I
Like,
actually
it's not
know somebody
great.
that has one.
They're not bad. If you like, the Kia Forte is capable of being good, but it's like having like a good Kia Forte is like having a good Cavalier.
Oh,
Like, as a Cavalier Z24 is an objectively good car, but you still like there's, I don't know, like you still like you're getting mid pack for like what the best option is, but you're still paying as much as the one you really want. Like, a Kia Forte SX costs as much as a Corolla. What's the Corolla with the manual, the one that's not quite a GR?
I think they just. Oh, what do they call it? It's not an XRS anymore. I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about. Though.
it's I think it's like that. Whatever the XRS.
I think they just call it an S now or some crap like that.
It's something, but yeah.
I'll look it up on this browser.
You can get that Corolla, or you can get like a Civic Si for the same price as a Kia Forte SX. Both of those are better than a Kia Forte SX.
Yeah, the problem with that, like you say, is like by the time it's like getting a Strix 3060 when that will buy you a tough 3060 Ti for the same money.
Exactly, it's literally
like,
that.
Well, it's great, but like you were just
You-
blowing money away with an inferior product.
You're getting a worse vehicle for like it doesn't do anything better. Like unless you specifically want like as many airbags as possible. Like that's the only thing.
XSE.
XSE, that one, yeah. The XSE. So you can get
website.
Corolla XSE or a Forte SX. I was like, I'm gonna get the Corolla,
The Corolla
SXE
hatch
because
is
it's
so
way
good.
better. It's so much better.
Such a good car. Like it's not like GR or MN good or whatever, but like it's man. I recommend them all the time.
It's like a Civic Si, yeah. It's not quite a Type R, but it's like it's that sweet spot.
Can I scroll down on this now?
Yes.
Okay.
That got a percentage of 47%.
Fortnite is at the top of the list.
Yes, so it gets worse from here. The Cadillac Xt4.
No, that's the SRX, right?
No, the Cadillac Xt4 is their small crossover.
Ew.
So it's like
It's not the SRX.
is it smaller than the SRX?
It's
The
what-
XRS is
SRX.
that's the one size up.
That's the
from-
Equinox one. So this is
Yeah.
based on something smaller.
This is based off, I think, the Trax, if I'm not mistaken.
gross.
Like not like the Trax, but I think it still has like it's like about that same size.
Is that what-
Same
They made that.
Yeah, it's like their small crossover.
Is
What?
that what Lisa had?
No, she had the one that Eric mentioned,
Okay.
which is also terrible. But
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she
they're
got
all
a
bad.
second one, and I was like, why?
that one was
People love those. It's like the first gen.
that
Civic.
makes sense for Lisa. Like
It does
because
make-
she's an old black lady. That's exactly what that car is made for. Is for
Yeah.
like old black ladies. Like it is a perfect
Well, it's
car.
just funny.
That's the car you drive around on your Sunday best to go to church.
Yeah.
And that's the only existence
It's
that car
just
has.
really funny because I know her son and her husband picked it out, and her son drives like a really nice Toyota. I didn't see it enough.
Yeah,
Be-
and
but
so
like
that makes
it was
sense,
just
though.
like really funny that like all her sons like have nice Japanese cars, and they put her in a Cadillac, and I'm like,
Well, that kind of makes sense because like for my mother, like if I had like unlimited money to pick out a car for my mother, I would probably get her a CX-30. Like I get her like a fully loaded CX-30. That'd be a perfect car for my mom. Whereas like my dad, I would get him. He just because his brain is worse than hers, he needs a manual so he can like consciously think about
not
things.
go over stop signs.
No, that didn't stop him. But yeah, that's like a perfect car for Lisa. But like, it's such a niche market. So I think like, if you're like a boomer that goes to church on a regular basis, yeah, that's a perfect vehicle. If you were anybody other than that specific demographic, it's an awful, awful vehicle. And again, there's a better option offered by quite literally anybody for anybody else other than that one specific person. This next one actually shocked me, the Jeep Renegade.
I think that's just because it has a new powertrain now.
I also think that it's also because it says Jeep on it.
And it's a 7-year-old model at this
Yeah.
point.
But I'm not too concerned about the model because the Mirage is much older than that.
True.
And the Mirage is still selling like hotcakes.
I do wonder if it is that new 1.3 liter powertrain because that's brand new.
Well, I think this is my thing. I think it says Jeep on it, and people get into it thinking, "Oh, it's gonna be a Compass or it's gonna be a Liberty," and then they get like a Fiat, and it's actually a perfectly reasonable car. It just has the wrong name on it. I think that's what it is. I really
could be.
think that the Renegade, if that was like the Fiat, 1 second.
Well, it is a 500X underneath.
Translate.
Are you translating Renegade into Italian?
To Italian.
This is fascinating dead air.
Okay, now it just says D.
Oh my god. All right.
All right, so Renegata. There we go. If it was the Fiat Renegata instead of the Jeep Renegade, it'd be a way better vehicle, I think. But that it's entirely because it says Jeep on it. That's why people are mad. So 46% of people enjoyed it. There's 46% of the owners that are correct. The rest of them are wrong, I guess. But that kind of goes to Jeep ownership because, I mean, these are all people that covet like a 4-door Wrangler, so they really aren't people of taste. Speaking of such, Jeep Compass is next. 46% ownership. Again, that enjoys it. That one's probably well earned because I don't think there's anything good about the Compass. I forgot it existed.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is another Stellantis platform, so maybe it's got the same issues as the Renegade, except it doesn't look good.
Yeah,
No.
it looks off.
No, and like honestly, the Renegade. The other thing is like, so you mentioned like it's a 7-year-old platform. With
Yeah.
like trucks, you can like age a platform. Like they get better with age. Like they will. The longer a truck is in like production, the more it will sell. I think trucks like they kind of peak around like 7 to 10 years is when people like them the most. Because then you start seeing like people start modifying them and doing cool things like off-roading them. Because like nobody's gonna off-road a brand new truck, but like it wasn't until like recently that people started like doing cool things with elements. And that was like when it's like those were models that were about 10 to 15 years old when they started doing cool things. But by that point, the element had already discontinued. I just think that after about 7 years, they do start to get cool. The Compass will never ever be cool because it's just, it is.
It looks like you bought a base model Cherokee.
I honestly, can you bring a photo of it? I can't think of what the 2021 Compass looks like.
It looks like a Cherokee that you put in a copy machine at 90%. Like, it's so hard to tell
Oh,
apart.
Sydney
Okay,
has one of
that
those.
looks more like a Cherokee than the Cherokee looks like a Cherokee.
Correct. This actually it has a better front end than the Cherokee.
You found the smallest fucking
I
thing.
always do. Doesn't matter.
This is Sydney had this car, and
Wow.
that fits her really well.
Yeah, it makes sense actually.
Yeah,
It is. This is
Sydney was a cheerleader for the Vikings, so
she is.
Yep.
that makes sense.
That does make sense.
That tracks for that vehicle. That
But
is
don't
who
worry,
should buy that car.
I've convinced her because it's had some expensive repairs, and I go,
Shocking.
maybe you should get a Japanese SUV. And she's like, maybe.
Yeah, she's gonna end up getting like an Infiniti QX50, which incidentally is also number 6 on our list.
Now, these names mean absolutely nothing to me
No.
at this point.
This
So
is
this is the FX?
I don't know. It's a crossover. I know that the X's mean that I'm not interested.
I'm pretty sure this is the FX.
I just imagine like having a car company and saying we're gonna have all of our cars have the same name, and then
Yeah.
expecting anybody to want to buy it. I have no idea. And this is the other problem is if let's say like I don't know if the QX30 is a good vehicle, but now I know the QX50 is bad.
Mm-hmm.
So if one is a bad car, it makes everything look bad because they all have the same name.
Yep.
Yeah, it was so confusing. People will just say car letters and numbers at me, and I'm like,
Did
I
you?
don't know what you're
A
talking
Lincoln
about.
MK Infinity QX.
I was actually about to bring up Lincoln because in the late 70s, all of their vehicles were called Lincoln Continentals.
Is that just like the different mark that differentiated them?
No, it was Lincoln, and then all 3 of their models were Continentals. They had the Continental, the Lincoln Continental mark, then the Lincoln Continental Town Car, and Lincoln Continental Versailles. And the Town Car Coupe, actually, there's 4 models. But they were all Lincoln Continental, then the name. And it's just like, what? Like, they previously had, or sorry, they had the Versailles previously, and then they got rid of the Versailles, and all that was left were vehicles that were called the Continental. It's just bananas to me. And of course, like one of them sold poorly and took down all of them together. So it's the exact same thing is happening with Infiniti. And I don't know what to think about the QX50 because I don't know which one it is. Another bad Nissan, actually Nissan dominates this list more than anybody else, is the Nissan Rogue Sport. Which the Nissan Rogue is bad. And then I can't imagine what a Rogue Sport does. I imagine it has like a sway bar maybe in the front.
Nissan Rogue Sport. Oh no, that's probably the new body style too. These things are just vanilla on vanilla.
I'm really curious what differentiates a Rogue Sport from a Rogue.
Well, if it's anything like the Sentra Sport, it was just like they put some Nismo badges on it, and then they offered a manual.
Actually, so the Sentra Nismo did have a turbocharged engine with a little bit higher boost and a manual transmission, and absolutely no other supporting anything, which made it just bad. It wasn't any good at all.
That car reminds me a lot of the 2000 Galant GTZ, where all they did was put a manual in it and put a spoiler on it and some different wheels. It had no supporting mods.
Yeah, and that's your race car. Manuals are great, but a manual makes a sport car. It does not. Okay, so the Rogue Sport is different from the Rogue.
Is it actually like a different model?
Completely different model.
So it's a smaller?
It's $2,000 cheaper.
You know what they should call the Compass?
Huh.
The Cherokee Sport.
Yeah.
I think that the Cherokee Sport is actually called the Cherokee Sport.
Oh. So it's a trim level there? It's not a different model?
I don't know. But
that's like calling a QX5 a QX7 Sport.
I think they just roll die, and then it comes up with names they've used in the past.
It's a bingo ball popper.
Yeah, that's just... It's not good. It's basically a Rogue, but with, like, worse space. It's a worse Rogue. Which is
hard to say.
It's really shocking that can exist, that combination of words. Also shockingly, is there's a third Nissan on this list, the Infiniti Q50. Which, also I should say...
That's the G37.
The QX50 got 46% approval, and the Rogue Sport got 42%. So nobody likes a Rogue Sport. And the Q50 has 40%. Like ownership, like positive experience. And I can see why, because talking about a vehicle hasn't been like updated. I don't know, maybe they did. I can't tell.
That's got to be a G37 with the VR30 in it, and then some meltier bumpers put on it.
Yeah.
Also, no manual anymore.
It just looks
there you go.
generic.
So that's why you're right. It is generic. I can't tell you a single thing about the Q50 because again, Infiniti, they don't have names anymore. They're all just the same vehicle, I assume.
They also roll dice, but they're just numerical dice.
So the next two vehicles are completely unsurprising to anyone. 37% is the Chevy Trax, which, and I assume also whatever the Buick version is.
The Encore, I think?
No, the one that Tammy has. She said the Buick version was
Oh,
right.
I don't know.
I don't know. But
I know what you're talking about, though.
yeah, this is a Daewoo, which is like actually probably the best thing about it.
But it's not a Daewoo, so...
No, it's sold as a Chevy.
This would be better in every single way if it was just a hatchback.
So you know who owned this car? My parents...
Rental fleets?
No. One of the parents that dropped out of my school program once we required masks. And she was a math teacher.
That
middle
is
school math teacher.
Exactly who owns this car.
Yeah.
It is a middle school math teacher.
Who bought it from
who
Enterprise.
believes too much into
Reads too much into.
patchouli.
This is, I feel like this is probably owned by somebody who says that they're happy to be supporting an American-made brand.
Yep.
That's who
constantly ripping into Toyota and BMW and all these other foreign automakers that produce way more vehicles in the United States of America.
Yeah, with their Daewoo that's made in Korea.
The only cool person I know who drove this car, she drove it because her grandpa owned a dealership, and it was a free car for her.
Yeah, so you know, like Randy always he is always test driving some terrible vehicle. Usually, sometimes he has something cool, but usually it's something pretty horrible.
The cool press cars are few and far between.
Yeah, I remember when he had a press car for this. I was
really?
like trying to be supportive of it and be like, "Is there a manual option?" She goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, cool. Can you get 4-wheel drive?" He goes, "No." I'm like, "Ooh." And I was like talking to him, and like you can kind of tell like Randy, like when he's like trying to be excited about something and he just can't.
Feigning interest.
Yeah, he's trying very hard to find praise for this vehicle. Because like, good on Chevy, but like you can tell her it's like, I know it. He gave it like a honest review, but like just talking to him, like you can like hear his voice when he's like not thrilled to be in a vehicle. and this is one.
This
whereas,
segment of like micro crossovers, the Ecosport, and I don't know.
Speaking of such,
What?
number 2 is the Ecosport. Yeah. The Chevy Trax at 37%. The Ecosport is at a firm 30, which is barely edged out by the CHR. I can honestly say that the Ford Ecosport is possibly one of the worst vehicles I've ever driven in my life.
Why?
It's just a senseless thing.
I turned off the traction control, so I had this when I first got the Fiat, and I was getting it rust-proofed and getting some other like cool things.
I remember when you had one, yeah.
And I tried very hard to like it, and I honestly am not sure. Like, if you put a Cadillac Sport on it,
Doesn't this have
usually-
a 1.6 NA?
no, it's got turbo.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. But yeah, no, it's got like basically a Fiesta ST engine in it, and it weighs like 1,000 pounds more, and it also has like Fiesta ST power band. In a truck, which is not.
I was gonna
what
say
you
it's
want.
probably a little heavier too.
Yeah, it's not good.
I don't even remember that you had this.
Oh, I remember it.
We talked about it on the show.
The only thing that was remotely okay about it was the heated seats that weren't even that great. The heated seats actually, I remember, sucked because they were too cold and they immediately got entirely too hot, and you turn them off and they'd go right back to cold. There's no like, so the heated seats are on-off switch. Like normally heated seats. Yeah,
not a multi-stage.
Yeah, so normally you have like 3 stages. So you put it out like super hot to heat up, and you put it in the middle.
Or if you have Mercedes, it just automatically kicks down every 5 minutes to
yeah.
1, and then it stays there.
Yeah, this one, no, it was either like burn your ass off hot or just didn't work. And so yeah, the Ecosport was
Ecosport.
Yeah, I even tried, like, it was like snowing. I'm like, all right, well, it's all-wheel drive, and I can turn off the traction control. I can at least kick out the rear end, and I couldn't because the traction control, even though it was defeated, the rear end gets like maybe 20% torque.
Well, this is one of those systems like the Honda real-time all-wheel drive system where the drive shaft is always spinning at a 1-to-1 speed for the output, and the rear differential has all the clutches in it. So it requires a significant amount of slip to get any power to the rear end.
That's what I mean, is like it, like you would have like, I honestly think it's like an 80-20 split. Like, I would not be surprised by that. Because it barely, like, going from a stop sign and putting it in like low gear and jamming the throttle as hard as I could with the traction control off, I could barely get the rear end to kick out a little bit. Like, all it did was just not understeer. That's the only thing it did. So, yeah, no, the Ecosport, I would say, because it's got a worse all-wheel drive system, I'd put that below the CHR. Because at least the CHR, you just don't even have all-wheel drive. Like, you don't even have to worry about having a shitty all-wheel drive system because you just have a front-wheel drive only crossover.
I don't like how the Trax or the Ecosport look, but I prefer the look of the CHR to both of those as well. And
Yes.
it's much lower slung, so it's closer
Actually,
to a hatch.
the CHR looks kind of cool with lowering springs.
Yeah.
And they make lowering springs for
Like-
them. So why don't you just look up, like, Toyota CHR lowering springs?
So
Lowered.
I don't understand people's
Yeah, it looks reasonable.
obsession with like these smaller crossovers, because it's like,
oh man, all the
like,
pixels.
get a
This is from Speed Hunter, so I know that they've got like a 8,000 by
Well,
like
too bad.
12,000
This is what we're
photo.
getting. So there you go.
because like yeah, see it lowered. It's a car.
It looks good lowered. Like, it's again, CHR is actually coming. If I could get a CHR with a manual, I would like very seriously consider getting one and
This is
lowering
like
it.
a Yaris that got stung by a bunch of bees,
Yeah.
It is based
it
off a Yaris
is.
platform, yeah. So yeah,
but it stung by a
Yeah.
bunch of bees.
yes, it was stung by mini bees.
So many bees.
But yeah, so I'm just nobody likes the CHR. I've never seen anybody enjoy them, and yeah, no, they're objectively bad in every way.
I mean, that came out of nowhere, but I agree. The
Yeah,
first time I saw one, I'm like, why?
yeah.
What is the point of this?
Well, I was working at Japanese nostalgia car when it was released, and I looked at the press release. And I'm like, why does this exist? I'm like, it doesn't cost any less than a RAV4. It was literally just a marketing ploy to get millennials to buy them.
Talk
And then
about
they're
peak
like,
segmentation.
well, millennials they aren't concerned about all-wheel drive, so we just won't have an all-wheel drive option. And it's like they designed it from the ground up like that. It's just mind-blowing.
You know it cost them extra to do that.
Yeah,
too.
I know. Like, it's just mind-blowing to me. That I'm like,
Like-
you designed this to be a truck, and then you just aren't going to give it all-wheel drive? Like, I know that nobody needs it, but, like, that's the whole, like, selling point of the truck, is that you, quote-unquote, need all-wheel drive for the quote-unquote winter.
Well, and like what's funny too is all these people marketing to millennials don't talk to them or use their social media.
Yep.
Because I was telling Ryan on the way here, everyone I see on TikTok wants a Honda Element or has a Honda Element. Or they have like some older car that is far smaller than any vehicle offered now because they're like, I don't want a big car.
And then I said to Jen, like, well, they're probably going to bring back the Element in 20 years from now when every single person wants an Element now.
Yeah, but they're going to pull an Integra.
Yeah, as I say, it's to come 20 years too late. It's going to be like after the point of when anybody that wants one could ever like conceivably have one. Because everybody that asked for an Integra, like 15 years ago, now they've got kids. They cannot have an Integra.
And they're going to make it a sports utility coupe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like with the Element, like it's gonna be like everybody that needs one. It's gonna be like after the apocalypse. I'm sorry, we all need technicals now. Like we can't have a SUV. We need to have a pickup truck with a machine gun in the back. Like that's literally the only possible vehicle for going to the grocery store at this point.
And then
So
Honda
now
will
I
make fun
can't
of
have my
everyone
Element.
for
Yeah.
not buying them.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
All right, enough about Honda that makes
Yes.
bad decisions these days. Let's come back to Toyota, even though we just talked about how awful the CHR
Yes.
was. I want to talk about something that we both really like.
Yay!
They're uplifting the Mark IV Supra you wrote here.
They're facelifting it, right?
You mean
Uplift?
the Mark V.
Yeah, it is Mark 5. Did I write Mark 4?
You said Mark IV. I was very excited that they brought back the Mark IV, and then
Oh.
now I'm a little let down.
Well, no, this was our Carbitrage car of the year. There we go. Whoops.
That's a MIV. Okay, there we
Car-
go.
now-
Oh, cool. Now I'm excited.
Let's, let the record show I had to change the verbiage in the notes before Ryan got excited.
I was a little let down because I was like, cool. Like they're bringing back the Mark IV Supra. Like this is gonna be great. Like
It's just
I
muscle
love.
memory at this
Yeah.
point. We've just been typing Mark 4 for so long.
Yeah. Now
Anyway,
now the Mark V exists. We don't like know
The
what to
Mark
do with
V
ourselves.
is getting a second facelift, so it got the not outside. That's staying exactly the same, just like it did from A90 to A91. But the A92, I'm assuming they will call this, is finally getting the 6-speed manual transmission from the
I feel like
340.
they're probably not gonna call it the 92. They're gonna call it the 91 still.
I'm going to call it the Mark 5. 'cause
Yeah.
that's
No,
what
it's
it
still
is.
Mark V. Yeah.
It's keeping the B58 high output engine, still like 380 horsepower. But they've also confirmed that it will be getting a GRMN variant
Very
with
cool.
the M2 competition power, which is
Very
the
cool.
S58 engine,
Very
and
cool.
that is damn good.
That's a very good BMW.
That is a very good BMW, and it's going to be cheaper than the M2 was.
Yep. And none of this is a Toyota.
I don't care at all.
No, I'm just saying it's like it's just as a fact. It's like I'm just imagining in Japan, like if for some reason the Toyota Cavalier like got like successful, and everybody started crediting Toyota for how great the Cavalier is when they literally just stuck a badge on it, and it's a fine BMW.
You know, Toyota was like, "Hey, we saw you canceled your only good car left. Do you have any more of those powertrains?" We're like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, we're still
No,
making
this
them."
is a great BMW, and I'm gonna give full credit to BMW on this because I've decided that like I'm not mad about the Mark V. I'm just not giving Toyota any credit for the Mark V BMW Supra because this is not a Toyota in any way. Like it's got like Toyota styling.
Yeah, I was
Kinda.
about to say it looks
about
like
it.
a
It has a Toyota maintenance schedule, which is
Which
good.
is better.
Way better.
But what I'm saying is like this is like a great BMW. This is a perfect BMW, and this is
This is going to appeal to people that can't buy an M2 anymore more than the
I was
people
to
that
say,
have a Mark 4.
This car is going to be great because nobody's going to want to actually buy a BMW, but this is going to be the BMW that people want.
Yeah.
Maybe, possibly, when Toyota like actually makes their own fucking cars again, BMW will have a spin-off brand where they make cars not for accountants, but make cars for enthusiasts.
Oh, and they could call it M.
yeah, and it could just be its own brand.
That'd be kind of cool.
wow.
And they could just do stuff like this instead of have Toyota take the credit.
Maybe
'Cause
this is the stepping stone. for that.
That's actually what this is like. The whole Mark V Supra experience to me is not anything for Toyota. It's all
Wait.
good things for BMW, and I'm not mad about it because I like both of them.
This is the people that work at BMW that are just as pissed off about it as
yeah,
we are.
well,
and they're like,
but
we got to
that-
do something.
But so they're just selling as a Toyota, yeah.
You triggered a metaphor for me. It's like Brendan Urie still calling his band Panic at the Disco, even though that there's no Panic at the Disco anymore. It's
Yeah.
just the Brendan Urie experience.
Exactly, it's exactly what I'm saying. It's like, so this band that she really likes, Panic at the Disco.
I've heard of it.
There's
Yeah.
one member from it that's original to the band. His name's
And he
Brendan
didn't
Urie.
even like found the band.
Yeah.
He just like forced himself to be the
It's like-
lead man.
It's like Millennial Deep Purple.
and then basically all the other band members left because he was not good for their mental health and triggering their substance abuse problems. And he goes, "Look at me, I'm fantastic."
And it's literally like everybody that's like a Panic at the Disco fan, like his later work, they just call it the Brendan Urie experience.
No, I call it the Brendan
Well,
Urie
no, it's not
experience.
just you. I've heard that used independently
Really?
from other Panic at the Disco fans. Yeah.
I think that's been kind of a pattern with a lot of music groups that have
Yeah,
just like
so-
not disbanded, but like just been fully supplanted one after another.
Yeah, no, yeah, Brendan Urie and like famously Deep Purple. It's like Deep Purple you call Deep Purple Mark, like Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3.
Mark
And-
5, maybe.
Yeah, there is a Deep Purple Mark 5. That was 1980s Deep Purple. But like the original Deep Purple was like it sounded like Jimi Hendrix, and it was like psychedelic.
Mhm.
And then they went to like prog rock, and then they went to like heavy metal. Not like 80s metal, but like Kiss, Van Halen, 70s heavy metal. Like that's what the term heavy metal means. But then like they eventually like went to this like weird like sort of like Rush style like quasi metal, quasi prog rock, proto prog metal sort of thing in the 80s. Like that's how Deep Purple happened, and that's kind of how the Supra is happening. It's like it went from like being like the Mark 1 Supra was just like a Luxo barge, like Malaise mobile. Then it was like you had Deep Purple Mark 2 through Mark 4, which are like really cool prog rock, and that was like the Supra that everybody likes. And then they have
Well, the
like
Mark 4 is the one everyone likes. The
Well-
Mark 2 gets no love.
the Mark 2 has its own thing, but like also not that many people like Deep Purple
Mark
Mark 2.
3 also doesn't have any fans.
It does. They do, but they're like within like the Japanese like nerd car communities.
It's
The
the
Mark
same people
2
that buy FCs.
No, they're yeah, actually it's very similar, but like people do like them. That's just they're not. You have like this giant like, elephant in the room. That is
E36. That's
When-
what those cars are.
yeah, and like people still enjoy them, but the thing is, you have this giant elephant in the room, which is the Mark IV, which would be your E46, M3, like GT. What was the M3? The Super
CSL.
CSL, yeah, like M3 CSL,
Pedal
like
shift only.
yeah, but like that's like the most expensive one that you could possibly conceive, and
I
like
think they made like 6 GTRs, but that doesn't count.
yeah, so like the Mark IV is just like the one that like everybody goes, oh yeah, this is a cool Supra, but like most Supra fans can't afford that, so they get one of the cheaper ones.
Well,
that
it's
they
the
also like a
generation
lot.
that the brand became noteworthy. In.
Yes, exactly. And then people also go, oh yeah, the E30 and the E36 are still great as well. And that's the thing. It's like,
It's sibling syndrome.
yeah, exactly. But like the Mark V is just like something completely different, and that's what Deep Purple Mark V was. That's what the Brendan Urie experience is. And yeah, with the Mark V, like it's a very cool BMW, and hopefully BMW would turn this into an M division thing. And I'm really happy they're putting a manual in it finally, because I can finally admit that I like it.
And you can get it in the 4-cylinder too, which don't buy the 4-cylinder.
Don't
That
do
engine's
that.
still bad,
It's
but
really bad.
they have not confirmed that the GRMN version, which is still like kind of hush hush, will get a 6-speed, but I bet it will.
Yeah.
Because that powertrain's already federalized.
If they don't, we'll bully them.
Yeah, we absolutely will.
Well, I
bully
mean,
them.
they've already bullied them into putting a manual in it, so.
Yeah, you're
can do it
welcome,
again.
the world.
Yeah.
Carbitrage got this done for you.
So speaking of 4-cylinder Supras,
Mm-hmm.
which would be called a Celica,
I agree.
I want to talk about front-wheel drive Celicas.
Okay.
Because nobody ever gives us the time of day. They said the GT4 was great, and they say that the original rear-wheel drive Celicas were great, but they never talk about the front-wheel drive ones. So, like, the front-wheel drive cars are really, really, really good.
I think John Hari's first car was a Celica GT. like
Yeah,
a
they're
91.
great. Yeah, they're really good cars.
Well, you know, the problem was the MR2 existed at the same time.
Yes. And also the Supra existed.
Yes, that's
and
also true.
the all-wheel drive Celica existed.
Yeah, the All-Track and the GT4
They had many,
were
many good
so
cars.
much better.
But like honestly, the front wheel drive Celicas, like the last generation Celica, like I am a huge proponent of those cars, and I always say like they are every bit as good as an Integra. And if you're spending Integra money on Integra right now, you're doing a disservice to yourself, because you should totally just buy like a final generation, like a ZZ. I think it's ZZW30.
No, that's the MR2.
That's an
I
MR2.
don't know the chassis code for the 00 to 05 Celica.
Yeah, but like the 2000 to 2005 Celica,
And you can,
that-
you can
you
get
get
ones
those
that weren't
really
molested.
cheap,
Yeah,
and you can
I
get
don't
them
know
like
why.
you get the GTS with like
2ZZ. Yeah.
yeah, with the 2ZZ, and then you can get the TRD Tupperware kit on it.
Yeah, they called it the TRD Stage 1.
It was the action kit is what it was called, the Stage 1 action kit. But like, you can actually
Our
make
first
those
MR2
cars.
Spider had.
Yeah, you can get those actually very, very, very cool. So
Oh, well, we talked about quick,
Yeah.
brief digression. Last week when we talked about the Matrix, the oil pump gears were only 2ZZ. 1ZZ
okay,
didn't have
one
that
ZZ
issue.
didn't have that problem. That's good to know.
Yep.
But
They,
yeah,
they
so
shattered under higher RPM. It's
Yes,
also
it did.
fine on the Vibe and Matrix. It's only a problem on the Celica and the Elise because they're higher revving.
That's very good to
there
know.
we go.
There you
Good to know.
Top
Yay.
tip.
Also, I don't need to haul around a GPR because I had a mental breakdown and I have not talked to my professor in 2 years.
Doesn't matter. Still a good car.
Yes, that's true. But the Celicas, they're absolutely fantastic and very, very highly underrated. And a
Yeah.
lot of people, I don't get why they don't get the love because like it's kind of like how like people used to talk shit about Hondas like 15 years ago, where I'm like every single person that talks shit about Honda's never driven one.
Yep.
And I think every single person that talks shit about front wheel drive Celica just hasn't driven one.
I have not driven a front-wheel drive Celica.
I highly recommend driving it. Like, next time you get a Turo, try and find one. Like, that's a great Turo car, actually. Where it's like, it's not quite something you want to buy if you
Yeah.
aren't sure about it. But, like, it's quite a good vehicle. And if you can get, like, just experience one for, like, a weekend and, like, actually, like, do some spirited driving with one, you're going to really enjoy it. Because they are awesome cars. I say that because, like, just working in dealerships, I've almost bought them on 3 different occasions. Because they'd come in on trade, and they need, like, struts or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so the dealership doesn't want to put $4,000 of struts into a car that they're going to sell for $5,000 that they just bought for $500. So now it doesn't make sense for them.
Wholesale. Woo.
Yeah, exactly. So they wholesale the car for like $1,000. I'm like, ooh, that'd be a really good $1,000. Really good car. But
I don't
yeah,
know much about the 90s Celica powertrains. I assume they had a 5 SFE.
Yes, they
but like,
Yep.
there must have been another engine option.
there was a 5 SFE and a 3 SFE.
Oh, really? A 2-liter version? Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
So it was basically just a Camry at that point.
So we never got the 3S GE
Um,
here, the Beams engine.
no, but they go in.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, that's such a
And
popular
the
software
Beams,
MR2.
Beams engines is so cheap. Like, you just put it in. Like, it's,
Plus, they call it Beams, which I like.
yeah. Which is actually an abbreviation, but I can't remember what it's an abbreviation for.
Yeah, it's all good.
But yeah, Beams is all capitalized. But yeah, if you're ever like looking for just like a cheap like fun car, like if you are looking for an Integra, I highly recommend get a Celica. They're so great.
And there are a lot of unmolested ones, strangely.
Yeah, because the
You can
Integra
get
existed.
convertibles.
Yes, you can, except for the final generation. The final generation,
I
which is
forgot about the 90s one. Yeah.
yeah, actually convertible Celica is not a bad car. Like if you want like cheap convertible fun, like that's like very good choice. And since they were so close to Camrys, there was a guy in town who actually had a V6 Celica. It was a coupe, but it was hilarious because like it had like a blue door on it. It was a red car, and like it just looked like a totally normal Celica. Then he pops the hood, and it's like a 3.3 like supercharged. And I'm just like, whoa, what? It's like
Talk about an unbalanced car.
it was,
Perfect.
it was a car that was like right after I quit going out street racing, but apparently he'd go out and he'd upset a lot of people with his V6 Celica. Like it was just hilarious.
A 3.3 in a light car is spunky.
Yeah, but I mean, so yeah, you can actually have a lot of dumb fun with Celicas, and they're free. So it's just like there's no reason not to buy one. So yeah, don't buy an Integra for no reason unless you're buying an Integra Type R. There's no reason to buy a GSR.
Could you get a 4-door Celica at any point?
It was called a Camry.
Ah,
Yes.
noted.
Actually, fun fact: the Camry was originally a Celica sub trim level.
Huh.
So you can get a Celica Supra, you can get a Celica Camry in the 70s.
Interesting.
And so the Celica Camry was rear-wheel drive, 4-cylinder, Celica everything, except it had 4 doors and like 4 seats for your family, but had like sports car suspension.
Okay. I was gonna say there must have been
It
more
was
than just the doors.
very, very underpowered, but like you could go like 80 miles an hour anywhere you wanted. It's a perfect car, really. Like it's very slow, and you will never lose traction. You can have all the fun in the world. It would be kind of like a Mirage, but not cheap.
There is something kind of fun about a car that delivers power in a very kind of like in a diesel way.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's just like you have enough power to like get around, but like you have so much more suspension that like you can not get into trouble with the police that have all the fun in the world.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go. Like
Yeah.
you just go full throttle on every single roundabout, and that's what you do with the Celica Camry, which was an amazing little thing. They made it for like 2 years until they split it off and made the Camry front wheel drive and made the V10 Camry.
Deep Purple Mark V. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anyway, moving on.
I think we might have become Toyota shills for this week, but
That's all right.
I have
I'm okay
another
with this.
Toyota story, and we actually just talked about the Corolla XSE a little bit earlier. They're bringing us a higher end trim, which is making me a little less angry about the fact we never got the GRMN here.
Yes.
The Yaris GRMN, I should say.
That's what I want.
I've known that this is
too.
a thing that's been coming, and I've been not paying attention to it because I just don't have faith that's going to exist.
I hope it will, and you would know better about me than that.
No,
but-
it's too good of a thing. Like, I just don't. Of course, I also didn't believe that the 10th generation Civic Type R was coming until I saw it in the flesh. So I will not believe that this is actually coming to America until I see it in the flesh.
All right, that's fair.
Because
Look at how pretty.
I know it's great. It's perfect. It's too perfect. It's too perfect.
It's the
That's
already
problem.
good XSE with a better engine from the GR Yaris in Europe. It's got
Yes.
all-wheel drive. It's got, they say wide body look, but I do think it is actually a little bit wider.
This is actually an XSE that they're showing in the photo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, no, they do. There are some like little photos of it with a little bit of a wide body on it.
There's
Right-
the Yaris.
That's the Yaris, yes. But yeah, for some reason they aren't showing. Yeah, there. That's the XSE. Yeah,
Man, the
I think.
XSE is a good looking car.
but
So yeah, that's,
they do have a wide body on it, but and it's cool. Like I don't get me wrong, I'm not discounting it. It's just that like I'm too excited for this, and I don't want to get let down.
you don't want to get hurt again.
Yeah, like exactly. It's like the Bremont Teos. Like I refuse to put a deposit on one because I don't believe it's actually coming here. Like I want it to come here more than anything.
Well,
It's
with
just
the-
until I can physically touch it, it's not coming here.
The
Like,
car buying market being so insane right now, I think is
Yeah.
a really good thing for stuff like this. It's good for the Mark V. It's good for this. It's good for the Bremont. It's good for an upcoming thing I'll talk about later in this episode. So I have more faith that this kind of stuff might get pushed through this year. And even if we only get it for a year or two, that's good
Yeah,
enough for me.
because all the people going, people don't want this, are dying.
Good. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
which
they
is
haven't
fun,
been
yeah.
vaccinated.
Yeah.
that's
'Cause they're
actually
dumb.
yeah, it's a good thing actually. I'm not gonna lie.
Because as a millennial, I can say all my friends and I want that.
I want that.
Every millennial wants that. Like even like the most not car person in the world I've ever met, Blake Bodine, he still drives a car person version of a not car person car.
Yeah.
Like
And
he
that's
made a
what
lot of
this
money
is.
like when he came right out of college, and he bought a Nissan Juke Nismo, which is like
Weird car.
such a weird thing. But it's also it just kind of goes against the whole millennials aren't willing to buy the best, like the high performance version. He literally bought a high performance Juke. Like he bought the worst possible vehicle where it's like, why on earth would they make a high performance version? He bought one. Like millennials will buy a high performance car.
Yeah.
Like if you give it to us and we can afford it, we will buy it. And millennials are at a point where we can afford these things.
This is one of those cars where it's like, if this showed up in 6 months at a dealer for like the pricing that I'm sure would be reasonable because it's a Corolla hatch still, I would have a really hard time not going back to a combustion daily driver for a while. Like,
yeah.
it's
How many
that
MCUs
good.
have you gone through?
3.
Okay. How
Working
are,
great now.
How much are those per pop?
I don't know. All the first ones were free and to recall, but this one was $1,600 and something.
$1,600. That is a
That's a
whole
whole nother car.
Toyota Corolla down payment.
It's a 90s Celica.
That's a whole down payment. I think you should get this. Well, that's the thing. Is like, as I'm buying like internal combustion cars, like for my dailies right now, I'm very seriously going. I'm like, I'm not buying one that's kind of meh. I'm getting what I really want out of an internal combustion engine because it's like this might be my last one. Like I'm not gonna get, a Mazda non-turbo 4-cylinder again.
Right.
I'm gonna get like a Fiat turbo.
Oh,
I'm gonna
yeah.
get like something
Cast
like
iron
this.
block and port injection. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting things that I want in my life, and I want to like enjoy that the best that I can afford with an internal combustion engine before I move on.
That's fair.
So yeah, that's
No, this is extremely appealing, so I hope that's actually coming.
yeah, that's very 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 good. I'm a big fan of it, and it's just one of those things where I don't want to have my heart broken, so I just
And I
have
think
not been saying anything about it.
Most Toyotas consume petrol.
Toyota is very, very
Yeah,
behind
yeah.
on
Well,
electronics.
What
or
Jan was
electric
saying,
vehicles stuff, so.
she said what she said very slowly, but she said
My
appropriately.
brain.
She like they aren't gas hogs.
Yeah.
Typically,
They're
yeah.
reasonable cars. Even the Supra is a fairly reasonable car, given what it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, modern vehicles have to abide by these standards,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So, and one of the things like Toyota, like you can like justify buying a Toyota. It's like there's like even when Toyota made an unfuel efficient vehicle, it still wasn't that bad. Like it's a Land Cruiser,
Like
it wasn't
my
that bad.
Sienna gets 21 mph
That's also good, yeah.
consistently.
For the size it is, yeah.
Same as the Element got.
Well, I want to talk about, speaking of car sales.
Okay.
Shockingly, an online marketplace sold a lot more cars last year than some random tent in the middle of the desert.
What?
Yeah, Bring a Trailer actually sold $829 million in cars last year.
How many
Hey, look,
actual
it's
cars?
Yeah.
Renault.
Yes, it is.
Renault 5 Turbo.
Yeah, no, it was.
That Renault stalks me
so-
when we were doing Monterey Car Week.
This has been something I've known about. I just didn't want to talk about because like talking about like work stuff on here is just like weird for me. But this is kind of big news because Bring a Trailer, they are the biggest online or the biggest automobile auction, like collector auction house right now, and it's because
How many actual vehicles was it?
oh god, I can't remember. But for the last 6 months,
least
we've had
a handful.
we've had 500 auctions alive on the site consistently since like September at a time, and before that it was about 400.
Okay.
So like 400 to 500 per week. So yeah.
I'd have to do the math.
Well, it was
Sure the data exists.
$46,000 is the average price of a car.
Okay,
on
so it'd be easy to do
Bridge
the
Trailer.
math
yeah,
backward then.
Yeah, so you just do the math backward from that. But yeah, it's just really cool that Bring a Trailer is like doing that well. But I think kind of the point of this is like a lot of these like auction houses were like they spend a lot of time writing off Bring a Trailer. Like,
18,000.
yeah, 18,000. So they spend a lot of time writing off Bring a Trailer because they're like, well, it's not a physical thing. It's not a real thing. It's online. It's just eBay Motors. Like, no, it's not. Like, it is just as vetted.
Okay, Boomer.
Yeah, it's like it's just as actually more vetted than a lot of these other auction houses. Where like, for instance, like Bring a Trailer does not use the word restore unless you have absolute like rock solid documentation of every single part of the car being like rebuilt or refurbished in some way.
Mhm.
Whereas like I see cars like Russell and Steel and like RM Sotheby's where they say the car is restored and then it gets relisted at Bring a Trailer and I'm looking at like a rusty undercarriage. I'm like, that wasn't restored. Maybe it was restored in the 70s, but it wasn't restored in the last 20 years. Like, this is definitely refurbished. Like, they
Restored
definitely-
before you
Previously
drove it a
restored.
decade in the winter.
yeah, like this is. I'm looking at this underside. I'm like, these brakes are clearly from the 90s. Like, this is, I don't know what was restored here, but it's not this car. But like,
And then you look and it's got like friggin' Ford Escape seats in them.
another thing that's like totally bananas to me is the buyer fee is capped at $5,000 at Bring a Trailer, but at other online sites like they don't cap it at all. So like we get these $45 million Ferraris, you're paying 10% of that
Oh,
to the auction house, which is like ridiculous.
Yeah, I was never offended by, even when I was placing bids on Z8s there, I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, it made me bid less for the car, but same thing with everyone else.
And that's the thing is every auction house is gonna have to do that because that's how the auction house
Correct.
keeps the doors open.
Yep.
But yeah, so it's just kind of cool. And then also another thing is like you can still get a deal on Bring a Trailer. Like I know it's like people are saying like, oh, Bring a Trailer is where you go to spend like.
You have to be
$50,000.
looking for something non-mainstream, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean even mainstream cars. Like there was a Civic Si. It was a EM1, so like the '99 Civic Si.
I know it well.
Had a Kraftwerk supercharger on it. It was
Nice.
lowered. It was in pretty decent condition. Had like 90,000 miles on it. Sold for $17,000. And it was like very nicely modified. And the reason it didn't sell for a ton of money, from what I just like at a glance, is it looks like the guy just like didn't want to upload underside photos. And like that literally just like
Probably 90,000 miles too. BAT really rewards you for under 60,000 miles on a car.
Yeah, but I mean, still, it's like there's just things like sometimes you'll see a buyer that just doesn't want to put in the work to represent their car very well, and you can get like a screaming deal on it, and it's like good for the seller, good for the buyer. Buyer got because clearly the buyer didn't want to like. It's not like it's like hidden knowledge.
Right.
Like we tell you, like we're like, you really should provide some underside photos here, And like, if you don't want to do it, it's your problem. Like, okay, cool. Like, we told you to, and like, sorry that your car sold for like
Later, dudes.
$6,000 less than you wanted, but like, we told you what to do. We've done 50,000 listenings. We know what works and doesn't.
Nana, nana, boo, boo.
Yeah, and you just didn't. So you clearly just wanted to get out of the car, and this guy clearly just got a great deal on the car. Everybody's happy. So it's just, I'm just really, proud of BAT. It's just really awesome that they're doing as well as they are, and that I also just think it's just funny because there's a lot of hubris with those tent auctions, and it's really nice to see them,
It's
their hubris
a changing of an era. Because, I grew up in Speed Vision. Was
Yeah.
like always broadcasting these Mecum auctions and stuff like that.
Mecum and,
Oh,
like,
that's
Bear
kind
Yeah,
of
we
Jackson.
used
cool.
to watch them up at the cabin just for
Just
funsies.
had it on, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, but that's just not a thing anymore. Like,
Well,
to
no.
your point, like, you don't have to ship your car across the country twice for a reserve auction and not sell it.
Well, also the other thing with those Mecum and Russell and Steele and everybody, if you look at what those cars sell for,
Yeah.
because they just take the seller's word for everything, they don't sell as well. Because, like, when you look at a car in Branch Yard, like, it's kind of known that Branch Yard is kind of a, we're not really a pain in the ass, but, like, we do have you jump through some hoops to verify stuff that, like, say,
They vet
Mecum
the
does
sellers
not.
pretty well. They
Yeah,
do not vet buyers at all.
yeah, no, it's true. That's the thing. It's like we can only do so much, but like,
Right.
And we're also like we're actively changing things. But like
Well, I
Mecum
know.
on the other hand, like they don't like they
But
don't vet
look,
anything.
over the last
Like,
4 years, like when you guys went to 7 to 8
Yeah.
listings and just the amount of cars that are going on there, like the fact that you've been able to scale that well is impressive,
And
even if there are definitely issues.
I think our sell through has gone higher as well. Because I think it was like 76% we started doing 7-day auctions, and now we're at 84% sell through, like completed sale, no problem. Like
Sure.
car is in the other person's like titled in the other person's hand.
They did
Like-
blow it up during a drive. Test drive.
Oh my god.
I mean, that's still an alarming figure with how many don't, but yeah, it's
But-
it's all things considered pretty good.
Yeah, like
And
if
they're
you're like
actively trying to fix it.
yeah, and like we are actively like, getting better.
Right, and like
Um,
I have no suggestions on how to
Yeah,
fix it.
no,
That's
it's entirely having to vet people. Like that's the
Right.
thing. It's like we've been getting better at doing that, and then like the thing is like whereas like Brainshare is actively trying to get better, places like RM Sotheby's is like we are RM Sotheby's.
Our
Look how
name is
great
the
we
cachet.
are. Yeah, we are
Me.
amazing. Yeah, like smell my
good
farts.
vintage.
That's a good vintage fart. Smell my farts. Like they're horrible. Like you go to these other places and it's like and what I really like is like Randy, the CEO. He's like really like keep our heads down. Like let's keep being better. Like wants to get better. Whereas like it's not like. I really pick on Russell and Steele because they're like the worst. But like they just like straight up aren't trying to get better. They just get like more ridiculous cars, and they're like, here's a C3 Corvette with like 20-inch wheels and like Lamborghini Urus brakes,
Ugh.
like just like awful, yeah. And so yeah, no, it's really really cool seeing like Brain Showers' hard work like to actually be as good as they are, like
Yeah.
pay off, and people will spend more
As
money.
long as you are slightly exceeding the trend, which they are, you're doing fine.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to deal with the fact that, like, as we get bigger, like, things like this, like, we've, like, doubled our company size.
Yeah.
And it's, like, we're still trying to, like, it's still a struggle to, like,
Oh, I'm sure.
keep above, like, the flow. Because as we get more people, we get more people coming in. And it's just like, oh, my God, no. Like, now everybody wants to be in here.
And then you can't just go to the homepage anymore and just like browse. There are too many cars. You need to like
You have to.
actually be looking for something.
I have done that, actually, before, where I've just browsed. Like, on a Saturday
I got tired
morning.
the last time I did that.
It's
I was
500
like,
listings.
I know.
Like,
It's
just
just too
insane.
many.
I do like that I still have them, all, like, every single one listed on the side. Like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like,
But
because, like,
there's a lot more scrolling than there used to.
yeah,
be.
there's a lot of scrolling. But, like, it's also, like, there's always, like, it used to be, like, when I worked at like Good Karma, I was like scrolling through. It was like 2 or 3 cool cars I like I'd read over the listing store.
The listing photo would be a little bit
Yeah.
bigger in the sidebar when it
Yeah,
was doing
but
well.
maybe I'd be like, there was like 2 or 3 cars I'd like find that were particularly interesting. Now,
Yeah.
like if I scroll like from top to bottom, there's like 10, 15 cars.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
I was like, oh,
I
this
was
is
like,
cool.
oh, gosh.
I get lots of Facebook notifications.
I send her
when
like
it's looking.
I send her like curses and stuff, and like, well, it's even like when I'm like just like editing an article as I scroll down, like I'll see everything that's closing in a day.
I still get bring a trailer links all the time. Usually it's like E91s, and there have
Yeah.
been a couple really good transactions lately. In fact, I'll talk about one of them a little bit later. But I still look, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, well, I'm mainly doing it just so I can accurately put correct insurance values on my car for the next year.
That's
But, like,
totally fair.
That's a good resource for it for
But
me.
yeah,
Well,
and
yeah.
they're also
That's
like,
still a valuable resource for that.
I like how transparent Branch Roller is as well.
Yeah, especially with, like, the old listings. It's super
Yeah,
nice.
we'll have like people are like they demand to have their car taken down. And it's like no, it's not happening. Like it's
Because
literally in the clause that we keep it up until we're
Because
done.
it's such important information for other people. Like,
Yeah.
when you're trying to get a really unique car insured and then something happens to it, you need to hold the insurance company, like, you
It's
know.
it's also it's part of our transparency. Like you don't want to like how would you feel as a buyer knowing like oh Branch Roller or somebody who wants their car taken down because it didn't sell well because they didn't like the comments because like there were a bunch of comments saying like oh yeah this car was like reported stolen in Mauritius and it was like imported like
It's
how
fine.
would
No,
yeah,
it's-
no
it's-
like knowing that like we don't do that is a good thing like you know that's like
From somebody who's had that happen, like
Yeah.
after the S sold the first time,
Yeah.
there was that one dude, like now that it's closed, I'm just gonna like lean into you for like not cleaning the engine bay in your pictures. I'm like,
that's fine
go
yeah
to hell. But like it came back and it got relisted the next week, and the same dude was still in there shitting all over. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. It doesn't even matter at this point.
Yeah, but like it's also like we make a point to like not we very rarely delete comments and stuff. Like if it's somebody like saying like you're an
I wonder how
asshole
many
and
times
like
it has to get flagged. It's probably a lot.
5.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 5 and it gets reported to mods, and then if it's something where it's like really egregious, where it's like the guy's actually like being abusive, then it's a problem. But if it's somebody that's just like raising like like remember when Brandon Flash sold his car and
Sure
like a
do.
bunch of people like found photos of the car being raced after Brandon said in the
never
comments
raced,
that it was
and there was,
never
like,
raced.
track
And it's
photos,
like,
yeah.
but this was raced. Things like that. That's why they don't delete comments. Or it's like if a seller's just misrepresenting their car, now it's there for
Bring
in
a
the
trailer
morning
needs
forever.
downvotes
It does
on
need a
comments,
downvote, yeah.
Uh,
Need to be able to bury comments though.
yeah, I think a downvote button would be kind of cool. I would like that a lot, but I could also see how that could be problematic.
Well, I mean, do it the Reddit style where it doesn't get rid of it.
Yeah,
but it
doesn't get rid
hides
of
it.
Yeah, it
So you have
hides
to
it.
click in and actually.
Or like you have like a total count, like thumbs up count, and instead of saying thumbs down, it just does a -1 on the thumbs up count.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that too.
Yeah, just like Reddit. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I think that'd be a good idea. And if
Even just to show it's unpopular.
yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I might actually bring that up to somebody.
Yeah, because then like it doesn't even move the comment; it just shows.
Well, because the
that-
comments are all they're
chronological.
chronological. So
So just being like, hey, a lot of people disagree with this. That would be really helpful.
yeah, that would be a good thing to actually add. I could see how it could be a problem, but it sounds like a good thing.
As long as it doesn't fully get rid of it.
Exactly. So let's move on.
Yes, I borrowed. I think just in one day
Speaking of
last
Scott,
week.
actually.
Yes. I found just a generic picture. It looks just like that. So I borrowed his rear-wheel drive ID.4 Pro. I think that's what it's called. I don't know. He and I talk pretty much every morning when he gets to work, and we kind of compare our electric efficiency. So in my
Yes.
car, it's watt-hours per mile, and his, it's miles per kilowatt-hour. So
You're the nerdiest family.
they kind of have to do the math. But
Literally
like,
the nerdiest family.
we
I've
were
ever heard of.
finding, although my commute is 10.5 miles and his is like 25, that his efficiency was significantly worse, like 15 or 20% worse than it was in the Model S, which was strange.
It's just like jamming on the throttle everywhere and like. Has,
We
like,
didn't know. So like either it's him, his commute, or the car. So we decided to switch for a day. So I drove the ID.4 and he drove the Model S, and I got almost exactly the efficiency he was reporting, and he got almost the efficiency that I was reporting.
it's just
Interesting.
bad.
I like
It's
the
just bad.
science experiment.
But when in the second half of my day in the ID.4 it got above 30 degrees outside, the efficiency just normalized. It got completely
Interesting.
normal. But below 30 degrees, the car was just like
Didn't Scott like get this because it has a
so
heat
bad.
pump?
It does not have a heat pump. He got the Nero because it had a heat pump, and
Oh.
then that lemoned out.
Yes, that's
So
true.
now it's in
Wow.
Louisiana or
Holy
something.
heat pumps.
Yeah,
That's a big difference.
But I'm like, I think this isn't even the heat pump thing because my car does not have one either, and it's getting significantly better efficiency.
What do you think it is?
I think it's bad programming for the battery thermal management.
Oh.
Which is wild because Germany isn't exactly a warm climate.
And this car has had no over-the-air updates yet, and
Ooh.
across the board, the charge timer doesn't work for anyone. It still will not show you a battery percentage. It will only show you miles remaining, which is useless.
Volkswagen's just Rockstar Games.
There is a lot of issues with
Volkswagen
it.
is literally Rockstar Games.
The infotainment was really sluggish. I couldn't make heads or tails, but I didn't even try the radio because I couldn't figure out how to turn it on. But like the heated steering wheel was really nice.
Also-
The steering was actually really good.
It's not like we're like trying to run stuff in Linux here. Like you're a total
No.
you're a very techie sort of guy. Like
This is
this
not-
is something
You're not me panicking because you can't figure out the climate control. On
This,
the
this
new
is a,
Correct.
this is a totally reasonable thing to be
I
able to,
use
like,
20-year-old nav systems all the time.
Yeah.
The ID.4 is unacceptably slow.
That's awful.
Um,
That's so bad.
If you're using CarPlay, I'm sure it doesn't matter at all because you plug it in, it just loads up. But like for me, I was clicking in, like it doesn't remember your settings. So if you turn on your heated seat and heated steering wheel, you go down the road to get a gallon of washer fluid, you get back in. You have to then wait for it to boot up.
Wait, what?
Click into the menu again, turn them back on.
That's
It just,
dumb.
like-
This is a bad vehicle.
It was.
Is Scott Scott
aggravating.
concerned about like his deposit on the ID Buzz that he still has?
I
Like,
don't think so.
I
but
would be concerned because
I think most
don't-
of that could be solved by software, but I think the hardware in that.
I don't know.
that
I don't
screen
think
is
so.
not
Nope.
good.
This sounds like Volkswagen. I told you.
Yep.
I called this like
Yep, they'll find
season
a way to
one,
screw it
like
up.
our first 100 episodes. We're talking
Oh
about
yeah,
when-
defaults to lane nudging too. I hated
Oh,
that.
that's
Oh,
awful.
no.
But like when we had our first 100 episodes,
Yeah.
and like Scott first put his deposit on ID Buzz,
Yep.
I said that's a bad idea. I don't trust that.
Volkswagen will find a way to
And they
make
will
that
find a way to
unreliable.
fuck that up. And you know what they did? I'm really vindicated right now.
But
this
I
is
will
not
say-
good for my ego.
Seats are very comfortable. Steering is excellent. The turning circle on the rear-wheel drive ID.4 is awesome. It's like 190e good.
Ooh, that's actually phenomenal.
But everyone buys the
still-
all-wheel drive one, which sucks. So
And even then, you're still dealing with ID4. And also, Brandon Flash has one, so he's going to talk to
Oh.
you more, which is bad.
But
you don't
it-
want a Brandon Flash car, do you?
no, but it's eligible for the full tax credit. It's actually very well screwed together.
There's
for the
other
most part.
well, yeah, Volkswagens are always very. There's never been a problem with how well screwed together a Volkswagen is. That's the thing. That's how Volkswagen gets you. Is you drive the car and it's fine until it breaks.
Well, we'll
Just-
see.
It's
I'm
screwed
sure there will
together,
be
but
some-
like the things that they're screwing together are like shitty plastic.
Oh, also, I thought the traction control was invasive in my car. It's like a Group B rally car with no stability aids compared to this thing.
Oh my
You can
God.
turn the wheel and plant the throttle, and it'll just like navigate the corner. Like there's no fun at all.
Ooh.
Volkswagen.
Yay! All right.
So
That's enough of that.
I'm vindicated. I'm happy.
Okay, why?
I'm gonna talk about a different brand that's good.
Is it
And then we-
Toyota?
Yeah, it's Toyota. How do you know?
Because that's our whole episode.
Yeah, pretty much. So Toyota, they have their heritage program where they have like the FJ40 and the Supra A86 2000 GT. They added a ton of new parts to their heritage program, parts selection, across like all the cars. So it used to be like for the Supra you could just get like door handles and like wiper blades or something. Which is like not a lot. But yeah, so they added the A86, the A80, more of the A80 Supra, and the 2000 GT. A lot of things, which is pretty great actually. But the FJ40, it's like the majority of the new parts that they put together goes to the FJ40. I think that they said the thing is that's not a surprise. I don't think that's a surprise because like they literally just discontinued it in like South America like 10 years ago or something.
Probably still running through new parts inventory.
Actually, I found out that the one I really want is also the cheapest. They have a BJ40 that's in South America.
You said BJ.
Yeah, in Brazil it's sold as the Bandeirante, and it has a 3.7 liter 4-cylinder non-turbo diesel from a Toyota Dyna cab over engine tow truck.
Weird.
Like the Toyota version of like an Isuzu NPR. Like it has engine from that.
37 NA 4-cylinder.
Yeah, it makes like it's actually a perfect fix. It makes more power than the 6-cylinder did in this. It has like no limit of torque. Like it's got all of the torque you could ever ask for.
Talk about a vehicle you can just leave floorboarded all the time.
Yeah, no, it's got like I think it's got like 130 horsepower. No, not even that.
really good.
I think it's like 110 horsepower, but it's got like 290 pound-feet of torque. Like just like unreal amounts of torque.
That sounds about right considering the displacement, I guess.
Yeah, it's very, very good. But yeah, so the Bandeirante is what I really want. Also, it says Bandeirante on the side, which is in Portuguese, which is kind of cool, and I just like that.
Isn't there a music show called Bondurant? That sounds really familiar.
But also, so the A70 Supra, the third gen Supra,
Thank you.
is getting a lot of common wear parts, cables, suspension arm bushings, catalytic converter. Weirdly enough,
Are they getting stolen a lot, or people still driving them in California?
no, people still drive them. But the thing is that catalytic converter also fits like this, the Cressida and I think the Celica and like a bunch of other things. So that
Gotcha.
makes sense that they bring the catalytic converter back.
Is this for the 7M or the 1J, or both?
That's a 7M. That was in the A70 in America. They did have JZ A70 in Japan, but we never got it. So the original 1JZ engine was like for like the last year of the third gen Supra available in that car. Very cool. Super rare. Super like awesome. And then yeah, the A80 got front upper control arms, lock cylinders. Which sounds weird that they're like little things.
Yeah, but
like
I've sold a lot of lock cylinder sets for E30s over the years. So.
Yeah, like these are like weird wear items that you can't get otherwise. And like they're like these weird things are like actually huge problems. So, like upper control arms and stuff, like that's a problem because those weren't serviceable.
What?
Like you couldn't just replace the bushing and like some of the bushings
Oh,
on them.
okay, all right.
Like so, like the ball joints were like part of the control arms.
Sure.
Just replacing a whole control arm.
That's what I'm
So-
used to doing.
Yeah, so now Toyota has like an actual Toyota brand upper control arm, so now you don't have to get the Moog part that also happens to fit like some car made in China.
It fits the Mitsuroki Oreshi and the Mark III Supra.
Exactly. And so the A86 gets some actually really cool things. It has a 4:3 final ratio final drive, like ring and pinion gear, which
Nice.
is awesome. Because that's the one you want. Because that's like, if you think of like a car with 116 horsepower,
I was gonna say, yeah.
a 4:3
especially if
to 1 ratio final drive would rip in that car.
as long as you have an overdrive top gear in your trans. Yeah.
It's a 5-speed, so
Okay,
you're fine.
good, yeah.
I
I was gonna say
and
a
then-
4-speed and a 430 rear end is suicide. But
transmission input shaft, differential companion flanges, and then also what's really cool about that is that will go in any car that uses a T50 transmission. So basically, every good Toyota from the 70s and 80s uses those parts. So anything that they put on an A86 is a good thing because that will now fix all Toyotas. And then so the 2000 GT is a weird one because like all of these parts are bespoke to just that car, but they have clutch discs, clutch covers, transmission gears, and transmission shafts. So like a whole transmission rebuild you can do. Previously, you could not rebuild the transmissions
oh,
in 2000 GTs, and it has been like that since the 80s. It's been that long since you've been able to rebuild one. So if you had a 2000 GT that was grinding gears, you had a 2000 GT that was grinding gears and popping on a second. So it's good that you can
you were
rebuild them.
developing a Tremec T5 conversion kit for it.
Yeah, like you're done. Like you just own that. Like you have to find another 2000 GT donor car.
Oh, this
to
is like the 850. Where
Yeah.
if I had an issue with that transmission, it's like, well,
you're like mega.
that's the way that it is now.
You're like mega turbo fucked. Yeah. Like so, it's really cool that you can get that. So you can actually make requests in America because I'm sure some of our listeners might be interested in some of these things. You can make these parts requests via the Gazoo Racing website. And then the time frame for when these things are going to happen is going to probably be late 2022 for the A86.
Considering current supply on literally everything, that
Yeah,
ain't bad.
exactly. May and June of the A7 for A70 parts. So they actually have a full list here. So I'll just read everything because it's not a terribly long list. A86 gets transmission input shaft, differential gear, and companion flange. A70 Supras get side turn signal lamps, catalytic converters, accelerator, parking and parking brake cables, a ventilation hose, radiator inlet hoses, speedo drive gear. Yes! Sorry, that is actually something that's broken on my Cressida that I'm going to buy because I was actually going to
How
put
is
in.
that not electronic in that car?
It's not.
Oh,
No, it's not. It literally like it wasn't until the 2000s.
Oh God.
You have to remember Honda used a distributor in their cars until 2001.
I guess.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Just thinking about
I'm
Mercedes.
so excited about that. I'm really hyped out because literally the speedometer's been broken the Cressida since I had it.
Oh shit.
Because when I first pulled the engine out, I forgot that it could be a cable, and it broke immediately. So now
Cherry
I can just
pickers,
get one.
yeah.
I'm so excited. Yes. Turbocharger water hose for the water-cooled turbos, rear suspension, upper control arm bushings, power steering hoses, and lower rear control arm bushings. The A80 Supra just got the locks and the upper control arms. 2000 GT got everything you need to rebuild a transmission, plus brake hoses.
I mean, every
Oh my God.
collector car that's over 20 years old, the owners are going to have an established list of stuff like this.
Yes. FJ40 gets everything. Oil pump cover, oil pump driven gear, oil pump drive gear. So there's two different oil pump drive gears.
Well, I mean,
Front
oil
exhaust-
pumps
yeah.
are made up of 2 gears. That
Full
makes
exhaust system, all the exhaust pipes you can get from Toyota now. A combination lamp bracket, which are the lamps that are on the corners of the fenders. They're
Okay.
a turn signal driving light combination. License plate lights, the actual lamp. Turn signals, control knobs from the interior, starters, starter brush holder. Starter rebuild kit is what you get, along with the starter. Light control switch knobs, that's amazing because Toyota's light switches from that era are horrible. They're all broken. They're so shitty.
Well, hopefully they have a new supplier then.
Well, no, it's probably it was 1970s ABS plastic. So
Okay.
the actual metal tabs are still functional, but the plastic that holds them together is just crumbling. So that's why they're so shitty.
It's just closet Bakelite.
Backup light switch. I wish it was Bakelite. That'd be great. But no, it's it was closet ABS plastic. It was worse than Bakelite. Oh my God!
Excuse me.
Transfer output shafts for the transfer case, vane pumps, shift levers, parking brake cables, accelerator cables, brake lines, which is amazing. Meter dropper for towing, intake and exhaust valves, which are great because you couldn't get those previously for the early inline six. Weather stripping.
That's huge.
That is the
huge.
bane of classic cars.
I know. I bought genuine BMW door seals for my 1600.
The Subaru, that's actually why I put it down for a while. Is why I quit working on it. Is it needed weather stripping, needed it because I was getting soaked whenever it rained.
not good.
Yeah, it was that bad. That's why the carpet. I took the carpet out and left it out because it was that drippy. It would never smell normally.
Our friend Jared cleaned the seats, and he was like, "I'm not even gonna tell you what I found."
It's that bad. Subarus leak, and the Subarus do nothing to fix that. So I think my Subaru might just be the way it is forever. Front drive, dust covers, brake master cylinder, disc brake cylinders. Ooh, that's cool. So caliper cylinders, rear wheel cylinders, and a steering relay rod. Wow. Yeah, every weird thing that can break in a car. This is great. I'm so happy about this. I am so effing happy about this Speedo drive gear. You cannot possibly imagine how excited I am for that. That's something that's going to make an immediate change in my life. Because I was with the Cressida, I really like the Cressida exactly as it is. I want to upgrade it, but not change it a lot. And so I was trying to figure out a way to make the speedometer work, so I don't have to use my phone. And I was gonna go with a GPS speedometer, and I'm ah, shit. But then if I do that, then my odometer is not gonna be true, because even though it broke, I have not driven it once, since it broke. Mm-hmm. I've driven around the block, which whatever. I'm not gonna
True
tell
mileage
people.
unknown.
Yeah, I'm gonna not tell people about that. I want to try and keep mileage original. But yeah, I really would like to have the original speedometer in there, and so now I can. Yay!
Hey.
Anyway,
Relevant story.
yes, I'm so excited for that. Toyota's great.
I have one last non-Toyota topic,
This
and
is
it's
kind of Toyota-y.
back to no, it's not.
Well, I mean, they make the Supra.
Anyway, So, Mr. Wag's slightly potatoey brother just sold on Bring a Trailer, I think
Yay.
yesterday or
Yes.
yesterday for $26,750.
Oh damn.
07 black. It does have a better interior color, but non-sport, unfortunately. So
What-
black on saddle,
Ooh, yes.
but
that right there.
non-sport, and it's an iDrive, and it has no premium package, and it has no xenons. So
Wait, is iDrive the all-wheel drive?
no, it's
Oh.
the nav that gives you the really shitty dash with the
Yeah,
hump in the
but
middle.
how much is it? How much did that sell for?
It sold for $26,750.
I'd probably spend $6,000 on that color interior alone.
I would if it was sport seats, but I
They're
cannot,
not even sports seats.
I cannot explain how terrible non-sport BMW
No,
seats
I know.
are.
Yeah, it's
There's a pickup truck driving down the train tracks. Okay.
Oh, fun. But
He
it's
was
fixing-
he was boogieing.
well, probably I would if I'm in a if I'm on train tracks with a pickup.
But anyway, the people that are buying rear-wheel drive 6-speed E-chassis BMWs care a lot about nav. So the fact that somebody was willing to spend this much on one that has it bodes really well.
Also, it's got the best color seats.
It does. The Dakota terracotta seats are great looking. It's weird seeing facelift E90 sport wheels on a pre-facelift car.
Yeah, that's weird.
But I mean, 67,000 miles. I mean, it is really low. Still has never had a water pump service, and there was just not
Big
much
yikes.
about oil seals or anything like that. But
But
makes me
terracotta
feel
Dakota
like
leather.
I just got to keep not driving my car because now I'm scared.
Terracotta Dakota leather. That's it. Right there. Done.
I've looked. That's why I want cinnamon seats for the LSB. I'm looking. If I
I'm
ever
very
find a
familiar
set.
with that,
Yeah,
yeah.
cinnamon on LSB is like.
I love writing these at work just because they have so many. Like honestly, I think they had the best color interior
Oh,
color
yeah.
options. Because like you can get the cool interior color options on E46, and nobody ever got them. This one, people actually got them.
Yeah, a lot of them have.
Like-
Especially the wagons have brown interior.
Yeah,
like,
they've
the
got-
red is really nice.
Yeah, like they have cool interiors. Whereas like the E46, I hate this guy's photo gallery. Oh my god, I hate when people do that.
That's all way too many photos. There's
No,
like
you
3
have to
angles of
understand.
everything.
You have to hand by hand move every single one of those into order because they never are uploaded in order.
The only
How many photos are in this gallery? It should say in the upper
Uh,
left. No, go full screen on it. It'll say in the upper left.
236.
Yeah, I start getting annoyed after about photo 170.
Scott
Yeah.
sent me this link right when it was posted. I'm like, I don't care. It's all-wheel drive. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, the link says 2007 BMW 325 XIT sports wagon, which is they didn't do a 325.
Yeah, it's very difficult. It's based off of how the car's originally uploaded.
Yeah, I figured that's what it was.
Is it a selling dealer? Go to the first paragraph.
Seller 1600 Veloce.
Yeah, 1 second. Read the last sentence of the first paragraph. I'll tell you right there.
And a clean Maryland title.
It'll say the whole sentence.
Where's the last period? This E91 has 65,000 miles and is offered by the selling dealer.
Yep,
there we
you
go.
So, selling dealer probably uploaded it saying it's XI.
And
then
they also probably thought it was an 06 because they said it was a 325.
you can change them sometimes. I've tried doing it, and it's a hit and miss thing. If I can change it, I try, but it'll be a hit and miss if you can change it because you have to count like which URL it's actually used and have everything be in order. It's just better to just leave it as it is and move forward. It's a big pain in the butt to change URLs.
I gotcha.
So
Anyway, every time I
That's
see an
very
E91,
cool.
especially like that's an 07 and it's black. I like that's
very fun.
There's and this is God tier spec. There's one that just got posted. It's a last year, so 2012
Look at
M
that.
Sport.
Wow.
White on. I think this has Sport Terra interior.
That's the one you want.
And
How
it
much
has
is
the
that?
silver cube trim, no nav, but it's been in 2 collisions. Very minor. The dude pulled the entire front end apart to take pictures of all the frame rails and everything.
That's really cool. I hate the silver cube trim.
I love that trim.
Nope.
I mean, I've got hand-laid carbon fiber in mine, but like this.
The carbon fiber is the one you want. Yeah, you want the carbon fiber. Did they make a wood? I can't remember. I don't think they did.
Oh yeah, almost
Yes.
all of them are wood.
I will take the wood. I'd like this car terracotta with wood trim. Would be it.
My favorite was the M3 only trim. They called it carbon leather,
Yeah.
which was like a
No,
textured
yeah,
leather. I
it's
really
very
like
cool,
that
yeah.
too, but I couldn't. Man, that shit's expensive.
It's very expensive.
Anyway, so I'm gonna be watching this wagon this week. Maybe I'll let you guys know
Was
next
this
week.
were those manual sport seats or power sport?
All those are power.
Those are all
'cause
power?
You have to get premium package for. Yeah.
I like manual sport.
Uh,
Manual sport seats are the cool seats.
You can get them like
I like
but
it.
the
I li-
spec has to be special ordered.
I like them because you have the stupidest amount of like levers on the side of your seat.
And they
There's
have
like-
no downside
There's
too.
like literally a half dozen levers on the side of your seat to
there's
to make
4
yeah.
levers on the bottom of a BMW Sport manual
Yeah,
seat.
exactly. There's almost a half dozen. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I was gonna click on those photos, but yeah, those are definitely power seats. In order to get leather, you have to have power seats on these. So
That's frustrating. I don't like
and
that.
the vinyl unfortunately doesn't wear well on these. So URL says XI. That's correct.
Yes.
So that's that car. I hope this one does really well too, just because I love 6-speed wagons. It's interesting to see how many of these are out there and coming out of the woodwork. So.
Yeah, that is really.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to see that they exist.
File these
They're-
for your
they're-
insurance company.
yeah, they're all kind of like
That's what I
just
did for Kurt.
they're all just kind of going to branch color because like that's similar to what we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
With, like, you know where you're gonna sell it. Like this is a bring a trailer car. Like
It
you're
is.
weird, not quite an M3, but like enthusiast daily car.
Yeah.
Like elevated daily, like just past daily level for like being an enthusiast car.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bring a trailer bread and butter. It's like it's the really cool enthusiast car, and that's exactly what this is. So, there you go. That's your top tip. If you want one of those,
Bam.
It's
Bid
not
this
gonna be.
week.
It's not gonna be cheap.
You're gonna need a lot of money. Yeah.
You'll need a lot of money, but you'll enjoy it. It'll
Yo,
be
such a
money
great car.
money very well spent.
2012 also has no record of any water pumping done, so do that.
Yeah, always just do that. Just assume you're need to do it.
Yeah, seriously.
It's
At
like
this point, in age alone, just do it.
it's like a Tuesday easy. Like just do an oil pump.
Yeah.
You're better off doing it ahead of time.
I don't know if Circuit Works still makes the gear set, but get Circuit Works gears for it and you're good.
Yeah, you're good to go.
All
All right. Well,
we'll catch you
we'll see
guys
you next episode.
Bye.
next week.